Hey, it's Sam here from Train of Thought. Today we're going to be talking about deep work, what it is and how it can help you to succeed. Before we do anything, just make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you keep up to date with all the latest videos. Now, deep work is something introduced by Cal Newport in the book aptly named Deep Work. It's an incredible read. I'd really recommend having a look at it. Now, this video and the concept of deep work is for anyone who really wants to succeed in the economy that's coming, the economy that's here and the economy that's coming. The world is changing quite fast. AI is rapidly improving and a load of jobs, a load of things we do are starting to be automated. Robotics, artificial intelligence, these things are kind of coming for a lot of the more menial tasks that people do. Now, as those jobs become scarcer, obviously there's going to be more competition, even more competition for well-paid, highly qualified jobs than there is now. Now, what Cal Newport suggests is that this competition is going to be fierce. It's going to be challenging and difficult. It already is, but it's only going to become more so. And so it's going to be incredibly important that you can demonstrate, that you can create real value for whoever you work for. That you can genuinely do something that makes you stand out from everyone else. Now, his starting position is, at the moment, that we're all very good at doing things that are relatively menial, repetitive, and easy to replicate. So most of us are fantastic at showing up to meetings, sending emails, ticking off to-do lists without doing all of the important stuff first. That kind of not that important stuff that with the Eat the Frog video starts to get us thinking about how we can overcome that stuff. We relatively, in most of us in the knowledge-based economy, we're relatively easy to replace. You could swap us in for someone else and they'd have a similar skill set, often similar education. They could probably do our jobs. So in that economy, as those valuable jobs become rarer and rarer, how are people going to stand out? Now, what he suggests is that work we do, that bitty work that isn't that important, that isn't that challenging, isn't really where the value is generated. He calls it shallow work. Shallow work. It is pretty much non-cognitively demanding, so it doesn't use much brain power. It's easily repetitive and it's relatively low value. If you didn't do it, someone else could probably do it pretty easily. It's that stuff where if you went into a job and on day one they were like, can you do this list of stuff? And you were like, yeah, it's that stuff. It's relatively easy to replicate. Now, we may think that there's certain projects we're working on that no one else could answer those emails, but everyone else knows how to answer an email. And within a month or two, they'd probably be able to answer those questions. So it's relatively precarious, but it doesn't really challenge you in the day. It's the work that you can do even when you're really tired and not really paying attention. It's called shallow work. And a lot of that shallow work doesn't generate a huge amount of values. Yes, you can spend all day sending and receiving emails, but it's just noise. It's a lot of it's noise. The stuff that really makes a difference, that really drives value, that makes an enormous difference to you and the company you work for is the hard stuff. The long-term planning, what is this business going to be in 5-10 years? The ability to listen, to concentrate, to really get to grips with complicated material. That is where the value is generated. That is what he calls deep work. So shallow work is non-cognitively demanding, easily repetitive, low-value work. Deep work is cognitively demanding. It pushes your mind to its limits. It's incredibly high value and it's difficult to replicate. It's something that your immersion in the detail and the complexity of what you do really generates. So we have shallow work and we have deep work. And he argues that the people who are able to deep work, the people who are able to concentrate for periods of time, sustained periods of time on single, deep, complicated tasks and come up with complex and well thought through solutions are the ones that are going to be more valuable because AI is going to come for that last. That's the hardest thing for AI to replicate, those really difficult parts of the human brain. The AI will be able to read documents and print them off and scan them and all that kind of stuff, but coming up with enormously complex, strategic, people-based, well thought out pieces of work and strategy, that's the value. So that's the difference. Deep work is this stuff that really requires us to think very deeply. But it's hard to do that because the world is so distracting. Deep work takes entire long periods of unbroken concentration, really immersing yourselves for 60 or 90 minutes away from the emails, away from the noise, to be in something so long that your brain starts to make new connections. There's a wonderful anecdote about how John Cleese used to write Monty Python. He used to lock himself in a room with a piece of paper and a pen, and he'd be locked in there, and he'd get so bored, and he'd be walking around the room and bouncing off the walls and all this kind of stuff. And after a while, his brain would click into a completely different gear. In his case, it was the sense of play, this childish sense of play, and he would just write Monty Python sketches. It's a similar thing. After a certain length of time of deep concentration, our brain fires creative thought, absolutely fires it. But it's so hard because the world is so distracting. There's so many things, and they're pulling and calling our attention all the time. So we flip between tasks, never really getting under the surface of them. Now, the more deep work we do, the more value we can generate. It's powerful. If you can sustain concentration for long periods of time, the output you have will be so much stronger. But not only will it be stronger, there'll be way more of it because it makes us more productive. You can power out huge amounts of work. And he gives plenty of examples in the book of himself. His academic output skyrocketed through having these long periods of sustained concentration. Now, it's very hard to do, and we're going to have plenty of advice and tips on this channel coming up about how you do it. But it is hard to do because the power and the addictiveness of the technology and the instant messengers, looking at Slack as a huge example in this video here. But there's so many demands on our attention and our time, it is hard to find that level of concentration. But if we can do it, if we can fight for it, if we can build our businesses, and this is a huge challenge to business owners, if we can build our businesses in a way that encourage deep work and discourage this addiction to shallow work, we can build a much, much healthier working culture. It's really powerful stuff. Deep work, cognitively demanding, mentally challenging, deep work. It's where we generate things of real value. The more we can craft that into our day-to-day routine, the more we can generate incredibly powerful work and make ourselves more successful and our businesses too. Now, there's going to be plenty more on deep work on this channel. I think it's a really important topic for us to cover. Let us know any of your comments, any of your thoughts. What do you find difficult about working more deeply? How do you find shallow work addictive? Please let us know below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and until next time, take care.